From Software games, specifically those of the Soulsborne variety, are hard to play. Metal music, specifically that of the metal variety, is hard to play. So putting the two of them together in a melting pot doesn't actually make them hard to play, it just leaves me hard. What counts as an official Soulsborne game, and where does metal come into this at all? Well, Soulsborne franchises would be Dark Souls, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Bloodborne, and most recently Elden Ring. Now, all these games under the Soulsborne genre title basically have the similarity of combat, world building, lore, all these sorts of facets of gameplay and world building they share. That's pretty much their only similarity though, and pretty much any one of them is valid for conversation today as we dive into metal bands who have taken inspiration from the series. Let's just get started. Tomb Mold is a sci-fi technical death metal band. Which may leave you confused as why the hell would I be talking about them when the Soulsborne franchise is fantasy-based? Well, Tomb Mold also happens to be dead rotting flesh as an item in the game Bloodborne. Are you starting to see the correlation here? Tomb Mold does have a few songs inspired by the series: Clockwise Metamorphosis, Abyss Walker.
There's a song on Manor of Infinite Forms called Abyss Walker, so a lot of people think that's about Dark Souls. The name Abyss Walker is because I had a pet rat named after a character from Dark Souls, and when he died, I wrote the lyrics to that song.
It's a very, very loose inspiration here. But beyond that, I mean, Tomb Mold is one of the greatest technical death metal bands you can hear in this day and age. So, if you just need a little sprinkle of that From Software flair on your metal music, check out Tomb Mold. Now, if you want the polar opposite of that, follow me as we check out Soulsborne. Soulsborne has 3 entire albums entirely dedicated to the Soulsborne franchise, 2 of which dedicated to Dark Souls and 1 of which dedicated to Bloodborne. Beyond that, Soulsborne does have some music dedicated to From Software's other franchise, Armored Core. But I hate to inform you, I'm only a low-level virgin, so we're not going to talk about it. But for the 3 albums we are discussing today, I will let you know they are part of the genre Death Doom. Now, if you've ever listened to Death Doom, you probably know it's the most compatible possible genre with this franchise. Just here's some gameplay backed up with some Death Doom music, and tell me I'm wrong. Crushing riffs, growling, despair-like growls. Pretty much a huge theme of despair across the genre, which, funny enough, in the Soulsborne series, despair is like its middle name. How Soulsborne actually does it is they basically look at the game they're taking inspiration from, look at the lore specifically, write down some of that lore's lyrics, and make a bunch of kick-ass songs out of it. My personal favorite of their projects is their debut Despairing Fates. It's a little more raw, it's the most focused on the Dark Souls lore, it's based around Dark Souls 1, and that's my favorite game of the franchise. But really, any album you listen to by Soulsborne is gonna be a good time, just count on it. You know what's not a good time? The fight against Ornstein and Smo in Dark Souls 1, which they wrote a song about. Spire of Lazarus has their first album titled Dark Souls, with the album cover depicting a fight against Manus from the first game's DLC. Something tells me these guys like Bloodborne. The main style of music Spire of Lazarus writes is deathcore, and if you've ever listened to deathcore, you probably know it's a very hit and miss genre. For deathcore, this is actually pretty decent stuff. If I'm gonna complain about the album, it kind of drags on a little bit, but again, I'm gonna be self-admitted in the fact I don't really like deathcore. It's just not my genre. These guys don't just cover Dark Souls. That's their first album. I believe their second album is based around God of War, and their third album is based around Prince of Persia. And recently they've been making a few singles that are based around Elden Ring. So, deathcore video game fans, the very niche subgenre of you there probably is out there, dig in. The band Firelink is phenomenal. My favorite band we are going to be talking about today. They are black metal. Sorry, no, I should specify. They're melodic black metal. Despite what certain black metal fans might say about it, I feel melodic black metal is probably the best way you could approach the Soulsborne franchise with the lens of being a black metal band, because it allows for lush, rich intros, impeccable atmosphere while still retaining the guttural rawness of black metal, you know? Both albums they've made are absolutely peak. These guys are just nailing it. Pay attention to Firelink within the next few years, because they are melodic black metal gods who just so happen to make music based around the Soulsborne franchise. We're winning big tonight. I love traditional heavy metal, but when I'm hearing music about Dark Souls, it's probably the last genre I'm expecting to hear. These guys still manage to make it sound absolutely incredible, though. Granted, the EP is only 2 songs, and granted, I do only love the one track, Firekeeper. I do believe if they wrote an entire album dedicated to Dark Souls or anything within the Bloodborne series, they would master it. Either way, you like Iron Maiden, you like Judas Priest, you like Dio, you like any of those bands I just listed there, Visigoth has the Dark Souls inspired metal for you. When doing research to find bands to cover for this video, I stumbled upon the Devils of Lodun, Escaping Eternity. Now, one look at this album cover told me this is not a Soulsborne inspired band, and then I listened to the first track's lyrics. Yeah, these guys like Bloodborne. The other important thing to note about the Devils of Lodun is they are the techiest technical death metal in the realm of technical death metal. This music is straight up overwhelming, and for fans of the genre, that is typically a very good thing. But holy crap, I don't know if my balls can handle being smacked around like this album smacks my balls around. For the 5 people out there who are extremely passionate about quality tech death and Bloodborne at the same time, check out the Devils of Lodun's debut. Now, if you don't love balls to the walls music, I would like to debut our most recent band on this list, Born of Ash. And just because they're quirky, I gotta point it out. If you look at the spelling of Born in the title, Born of Ash, you'll notice it's spelled B-O-R-N-E. Oh my god, that's how they spell the end of Bloodborne! Born of Ash, just like Soulmass, make death doom metal. And if you can recall from before, I said there's no better combination than Soulsborne and death doom metal. Especially with their debut From the Dark They Came. They capture the atmosphere, the lyrics, and out of all bands today, they even use sound bites from the game.
I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son.
So please give these guys your attention. Born of Ash are a very recent band with their debut just coming out last year, and I'm 100% sure they wouldn't mind a little extra traction. So give them a listen. Even if you don't like death doom metal, I'm sure you can find something to enjoy here. If you just straight up like Dark Souls, give it a shot. Now, lastly today, I'm going to be talking about Stormruler. Stormruler are a black metal band. They have a much bigger focus on sneaking little references into their lyrics. For example, the opening track on their very first album mentions a scaleless dragon. Perhaps that's a reference to a certain scaleless dragon from a certain scaleless game. No, that doesn't make sense. But the point I'm getting at here is that pretty much every one of their songs has some small, subtle reference to one of the games of the Soulsborne series. So if you're a fan of black metal, you're a fan of Soulsborne, and you're willing to do some spelunking through the lyrics to find references, these guys got it in spades, and like all bands on the list, they sure wouldn't mind your attention. So yeah, that's Soulsborne inspired metal. I hope you found a band you enjoy today, and aside from that, I just gotta inform you, I'm not a From Software boss. There is no second wave, and the video is in fact over.
I truly am the king of the monkeys. What the fuck? What the No! 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 What? What the